Exactly.
Done, yeah.
Exactly. As an artist, she wasn't completely thrilled with the movie version and didn't want to relive that. So Scott left disappointed but not discouraged, and he came back to New York and he kept calling Alice and bugging her about it and said, "Why don't you come to New York with me and spend a week? We'll see some shows. You really get to know me." And after that week, she said, "I trust you. I think you can handle my story. Let's do it."
And what was it that she came to trust in Scott? She connected.
She connected with him, absolutely. She's a very spiritual person, and she just felt that his vibe, his persona, he was the right person to take over her story. And I don't think he could put it into any other words besides this whole journey has just been one lucky break for him after another. And we can talk further about that.
I think I read the story in the Tribune last week, I think it was, and he talked about the connection with Oprah.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, he'd assembled all the money he needed to produce the
correct.
show, but had to disinvite some investors because obviously you want Oprah in this deal.
Well, that's exactly right. So he had gotten his team together. He had finally gotten all the money he needed, and they were starting previews in Atlanta at the Alliance Theater there. And they'd been inviting different magazines, long lead publications, to come cover the show before they opened in New York. And they, on a whim, just said, "We better invite O Magazine." And Scott laughs all the time. He said he was probably the only person in the world who did not have any idea that Gayle King was Oprah's best friend. And so she comes to see the show, and she says, "I can't stay long. I've got a meeting. I'm going to have to leave at intermission." And he says, "Okay. I'm disappointed, but that's fine." And he goes over and sees her at intermission, and she's tears streaming down her face, and says, "I canceled my meeting. I have now already been on my BlackBerry and told Oprah she needs to see this show." So that's how that happened. And then months went by, and she hadn't had any more correspondence with Scott. And then one day she says, "Oprah's interested in being a producer." And he says, "I've already got all my money. What am I going to do? It's legal jargon, pages and pages and pages. How am I going to give back, these couple $1 million?" And so he is kind of thinking that in his head when all of a sudden he sees a missed call. He's been in the shower, he says. And it's, "Hi, Scott, this is Oprah Winfrey. And I'll call you back later today." So he gets on his phone and he calls Gayle King and says, "Oh my God, I just missed a call from Oprah. How do I get in touch with her?" She says, do not put your phone down today. It will ring again." So Oprah calls back, and she says, "I want to invest in this show. What can I do for you?" And he says, "Gosh, I'm sorry, but I already have all my money."
"I can't take your money."
And she said, "That's the first time I've ever been told that before." And so they made an agreement that he would give back a little bit of money, let her invest a little, but he said, "What would really help me is, can I use your name?" So we are now Oprah Winfrey Presents The Color Purple. And
That's
quite an endorsement.
That's a wonderful story. I'm Al McFarlane. You're listening to Conversations with Al McFarlane, broadcasting this morning from the Ordway in St. Paul. We're at the McKnight Theater, and we're here talking about The Color Purple. The Color Purple opens tonight, March 17th, and runs through March 29th. The number, 651-224-4222, or online, ordway.org. Let's do some music. Wayne, are you ready to do a piece?
the rising sun when it shines from above. Oh, I love the way you make me dance. I love the way that you feel. I know you. I love the way you make me dance. I love to see you in the sun on the beach. I can't believe the things we had. I've been waiting for my lover to come. Honey, 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 honey,
Wayne McFarlane and Jazz. I'm Al McFarlane. You're listening to Conversations with Al McFarlane, broadcasting from the Ordway Theater in St. Paul. We're at the McKnight Theater. We're here to celebrate the presentation of The Color Purple. Robin Hickman, why don't you and I engage Brother James Rocco for a minute here and talk about this relationship. James Rocco is the producing artistic director for the Ordway. And what does it mean to have this production here, James Rocco? What does the Ordway want to do and give and get in this work?
Ordway Center is committed to the art of musical theater, which is an American art form that started at the turn of the 20th century and was actually created out of all different ethnic groups' traditional sort of performance. And Ordway Center is not only dedicated to the classic musicals, but actually dedicated to bringing what's contemporary, what's valid in our contemporary world. And that's what's really exciting about The Color Purple. Not only is it obviously an African-American story, it's a universal story that all of us are grappling with. We are here. We each deserve our space in the world, and that's what The Color Purple is about. If anything can make us all colorblind and make us realize that we all live in this world together, is to experience this story through Celi's eyes.